All right, YouTube commenters, we see it. You guys complain about the ads. If you don't want to see the ads in the show, sign up to our website, NewOrleans.Football. Use the code SOBACK. Save 20% off your first payment. It's $9 a month normally. That takes it down to $720. $89 for a year. That takes it down to about $71. Sign up for that. You get reduced ads. There aren't the ad breaks in this. You get all of our news, our analysis. The post-game show happens after post-game. You don't have to wait till Monday to get it. You can watch our shows live and watch how we screwed up the first time we tried doing this today and had to start over. So you get all of that, all of our news, our analysis, everything. If you're just a podcast listener, there's a separate feed that you can get that has the members-only show. That's a bonus pod every week. You get the shows early on that feed, and the ads will now be reduced on there moving forward from here. We're just starting that right now, so make sure you sign up for that. Welcome back to the Ochsner Andrews Sports Medicine Institute podcast studio. We're coming to you from the Queens Casino in Baton Rouge. Another episode of NewOrleans.Football presented by PJ's Coffee. We drove up here in our cars that we bought at Matt Bauer's dealership. If you're in the market for a new car or a pre-owned car, make sure you go check them out. Look at you, great prices, great customer care, great car buying experience. On today's show, we're going to keep breaking down the game, what we saw after doing the film review, where they go from here, and so much more. If you are a member of NOF, we'll see you in like 20 seconds after we play the intro song. If you aren't, we'll see you after like the 5-minute ad break. Ochsner Andrews Sports Medicine Institute is a regional leader in orthopedic and sports medicine innovation and treatment, caring for both our active community and the New Orleans Saints. To learn more, visit ochsner.org/sportsmed. Long live you. The NewOrleans.Football show is proudly presented by PJ's Coffee. PJ's Coffee has some of the best drinks that you can find. They have locations all over the city. They have pastries and everything else you need to get your day started. So go check them out.
Score big with Saints Score. Win up to $100,000. Enter the second chance drawings for cool Saints prize packages. Play Saints Score scratch-offs from the lottery.
NewOrleans.Football is proudly sponsored by Urban South Brewery, the makers of Paradise Park Lager. I love supporting local breweries, and when looking for a refreshing, easy drinking beer, I always recommend Paradise Park. In fact, I think it might be the best game day beer out there. If you want something a little lighter, try Paradise Light. It's everything I love about Paradise Park with just 96 calories and 2.6 carbs. And if you're looking for a family-friendly place to watch the game, I'd recommend Urban South's Tap Room in the Lower Garden District. They've got 15 TVs, 30 unique beers on tap, and mouth-watering urban smash burgers. The whole family will want to make Urban South their new living room, because at Urban South, they take laid back seriously. Looking for the best insurance coverage at the lowest price? Look no further than Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency. They are a local independent insurance agency right here in New Orleans, specializing in home, flood, and auto insurance. Their agents are born and raised in the area and understand our community's unique needs and the homeowners insurance crisis our residents are currently in. At Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, their dedicated team will shop every available carrier in the market, ensuring you get the most comprehensive coverage at the lowest possible price. They know your time is valuable, which is why they work diligently to provide you with the quotes as soon as possible. Why settle for less when you can have the best? Trust Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, to protect what matters most to you. I do. I've been a client of theirs since 2021. When we couldn't find someone to insure our house because of the big oak tree growing over top, Chabert worked until they found someone that would work with us and give us the protection that we need to feel safe in our new home. Call them today at 504-326-6526 or visit them online at Protected by Chabert. That's 504-326-6526. Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, your local insurance experts. Hardhide Ponchatoula Strawberry Whiskey is an 86 proof blend of aged wheat bourbon, American light whiskey, and fresh Ponchatoula strawberries. Blended in New Orleans, it is not for the thin-skinned. Look for it in your favorite stores, bars, and restaurants. NewOrleans.Football is proud to be sponsored by Firehouse Subs. Make sure you check out their location on Veterans Boulevard. Attention Saints fans, don't let pests and termites invade your home field. Trust the team at Red Pest Solutions to tackle those unwelcome visitors. Call the Red Man today for unbeatable pest and termite control. Score peace with no pest. Visit redpest.com, REDDPEST.com. All right, let's get into the show.
Welcome into the Queen Casino here in Baton Rouge at the Oshner Andrews Sports Medicine Institute podcast studio. This episode of NewOrleans.Football. I'm Brandon Thomas, Mike Triplett, Nick Underhill.
And again, guys, if you are not signed up to the site, sign up to the site. You get an ad-reduced experience on the podcast, all of our news, our analysis, so much more. Use the code SOBAC, 20% off your first payment. You get a podcast feed that you can plug into your podcast player, reduced ads. You get the shows early. The post-game show goes out on post-game. Don't have to wait until Monday at like 4:45 to get it. Yeah. So just sign up for the site. It's $9 a month. That code takes it down to $7.20 on the first payment. Sign up for the whole year. It's normally $89. I think that takes it down to like $71. Yeah. So sign up, support us, and you get a better experience.
Free, you know what I mean? Going through there, you get the free one with the ads, but if you pay, you get the premium experience. Yep. That's right. Let's get into the first segment presented by Aaron Rose. We've had time to review the game. We've had time to go play by play and see who stood out and who didn't. Upon further review, what stood out the most?
As far as like what players stood out the most, or just
in
general, what stood out the most?
From the game.
I thought my favorite thing I seen on social media this week, Bappa, who's a hilarious dude. Like he put up a picture, and we started our film study with the same play, but he put up the play, and he said. Clint Kubiak's in the film room on mushrooms because it had like Rashid Shaheed in the backfield, Taysom in the pistol, Alvin split out wide. Like it was crazy. Some of the stuff they were doing in this game was crazy, and you just kind of saw the accumulation of everything that we've kind of talked about in this game. Just motion, moving people that it gets the defense moving. There was a play where they had a shot where there was a motion and they were showing a too high shell, and then the motion forced the safety to come down. So now they're playing cover 3, which they kind of always do, and you know where to go with the ball immediately instead of thinking like, are they playing quarters? Is it cover 2? Is it 2-man? Like it kind of makes them declare. And it wasn't just motion for the sake of motion; it was motion with a purpose. Like when we saw motion before, it was motion for the sake of motion, and just the execution of everything. I mean, I'm going to just say it as corny as possible because, like, it's just the truth. Like, doing the film review, it was a joy to do it. Like, whereas previous years, I'd go to bed on Sunday and I'd wake up and I'd be like, damn it, I got to watch 62 plays of this offense. Like, and it was dreadful to do. And this was different. I mean, it was just, man, it was a joy to do it. It really was. It was a joy to do it.
Yeah, look, I mean, upon review, it upheld everything that we thought we saw. Like, and there was sometimes maybe you see the ugliness a little bit more if you go back and review and you're like, oh, well, that was just a steamroller of a game where a couple big things happened, but that wasn't true. I mean, you liked everything you saw in this game for all the same reasons we liked after the night. One thing we didn't talk about at all because we spent so much time talking about how much we like Clint Kubiak's offense and what it did for all the players. Another big issue we had coming into this season was run defense, and I'm curious what you saw on the film study because we did nitpick a little that the pass rush wasn't getting home enough on Bryce Young. But the Panthers, I mean, you'd think there'd be some free runs in a game where you're just trying to run out the clock when you're leading by 30. They averaged 2.9 yards per carry. Their running backs alone averaged less than 3 yards a carry, and they tried a few times. I mean, their running backs had 15 runs in this game for like 2.8 yards per carry. It's just yet another area of this defense where the Saints showed up to play in week 1.
Overall, and again, we're talking about this in a one-game thing. Not talking about this is true for the whole season. This is true in the past. This is true forever. One game, there was an extremely well-coached team, and there was a team that was not coached well. And the Saints were the team that was extremely well-coached. They were extremely well-prepared. They were extremely well-coached on offense. They were extremely well-coached on defense. They were extremely well-coached on special teams. Everybody was prepared. There was a couple penalties that I'm sure they would like to have back. But there was a plan and there was execution just straight down the line, and DA had this team ready to play, and they came out and they kicked ass. I mean, that's just really, really what they did in this game. And for a week, they were an extremely well-coached team. And they have been that on defense for a long time. I think they got that coaching on offense now. Rizzy's always been the man on special teams. So, I mean, that's not a huge surprise there. But they executed across the board. One of my big takeaways from this game overall is – and again, we're talking about this in a one-game vacuum. When Micah's coming down next week, it might change completely. But in a one-game vacuum, I thought Derek Carr handled pressure the few very rare times that he got it very, very well. And, I thought that play down the field, the 59-yarder, I've just been thinking about it. And I wonder if, we talked to him about pure progressions, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4 across the field. And it kind of just makes it easy. And then things happen on schedule. You got, it was going the other way, actually, but you got a shorter route, a longer route, a longer route, a longer route, kind of going across the board. And where your head's going, the timing of it's going to set up with it. Then you got your check down in the flat. He got through all of them. The check down came back, went to Rashid. There's a guy barreling in on him. Yeah. And I just wonder if the simplicity of how it was set up, because the way that play is set up, if Chris isn't there, if you're getting to this side of the field, these two guys, again, they're playing cover 3. You use the motion. It brings a guy down. Motion brings them down. They're showing a 2-shell on that play. Motion brings them down. You know that if the safety's going deep, you got one-on-one with Jawan. And if the safety's going shallow on Jawan, you got one-on-one on Shaheed. And I'm just wondering, guy comes barreling down, you just have the faith to throwing it up down, because you just have to read one guy on the field to know what to do with it. You aren't making 8 decisions on, can I do this, can I do that? Oh, my God, my feet are moving, I don't know. Mm-hmm. It's just one very simple thing you have to look at. And you might not see it, but you know the area, and you just say, hey, it's one-on-one. I'm going to give my guy a chance. I'm getting this ball out. I wonder if that makes it easier for him to have confidence in the pocket when things are simplified, and he only has to worry about one thing instead of 12 different things. And that's kind of the idea of this offense, is that they're going to get him into positions to where he just can go out and play, and the protection, the reads, all that stuff's predetermined in the booth, instead of Derek going out there, walking out, okay, what are the safeties doing? Okay, I'm going to do this. I need to check to this hot. We're going to change into this. Hey, they're playing this, so you got to run that. We got these option routes on it. Okay, offensive line. There's a guy on the pressure. We got to set this up, move that, do that. Yeah. Okay, set height. Oh, what's he doing? It's just, okay, I'm going out here. I'm snapping the ball. I'm doing my read left to right. If I know where the safety's at, I know what to do in the situation. I think there's a possibility this all gives him a little bit more confidence, but that thought could be blown to smithereens next week against a much better pass rush. But I was encouraged by the idea of that, at least.
Well, and it was funny after the game that Derek Carr pointed out that there were 2 different times where there's basically a scramble drill on the red zone. He said Foster Moreau wasn't even in that progression, but he had time to, this guy's not open, this guy's not open, and then found Foster. And then Jawan Johnson, the same thing, was not the initial read on that, but he broke wide open. That was the play where you said Rashid was in the backfield, Alvin's out wide, and it opened things wide open for Jawan Johnson. But it was funny that Derek Carr said, a lot of times when you extend plays down in the red zone, great things happen. It's like, so you've unlocked the secret to the red zone too, on top of everything else that happened in week 1.
What my other big takeaway too, just Foster. I think that chemistry and that ability and just, they're playing backyard football there. It's 2 guys that know each other. They've been together for a long time. I think we were kind of expecting to see some of that last year, that chemistry and the timing, and 2 guys coming from the same place. That's supposed to be the security blanket. And then Foster obviously has cancer. He has a foot injury. He's playing through the whole entire year. And I don't think that we ever saw the actual Foster Moreau out on the field. And I think the guy that we saw on Sunday is probably more in line with what he's going to be and what he can do. And, I thought he had a really great camp. He caught a lot of passes in camp. Obviously was getting more opportunity because Jawan wasn't out there. But the ability to do that, he showed up. He stepped up into that void and kind of made it, felt a little bit less, and I think we're seeing some of that payoff right now. I'm excited to see what he can do this season. I think low-key he can be I don't think he's a fantasy pickup, a tight end or anything like that, but I think low-key he can be a good piece for this offense.
Unfortunately, he's going to be questionable this week because of the concussion. He's in the concussion protocol, and actually one of the readers' questions that we did not pick from Martin's, but it was a great question, is how do they adjust without Foster Moreau? And that's a great question. It reminds me of when Sean Payton called Josh Hill the front door. Foster Moreau is heavily involved in this game plan, not just as a pass catcher, but as a blocker as well.
If you want to have the full Knicks full film review and Mike's full fallout, make sure that you sign up for NewOrleans.Football to have access to that. But we're going to roll to our next segment presented by Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union. One of the bigger surprises of this game was the play of the offensive line. We got to see Trevor Penning do some things, but Taliese Fuaga on the left side, rookie, didn't really know what we were coming in here and seeing. He looked fairly good. Have the Saints found one in Taliese Fuaga?
It's possible for sure. You couldn't ask for a better debut. I thought he played excellent in this game. I vehemently disagree with PFF's 0.00000 stat line on him. They gave up a sack, and it was his guy that got the sack. Fuaga was blocking him. He gets off the block, sacks the quarterback. Mm-hmm. to me, that's on him. But I mean, like I think that was a mistake they made. I mean, one sack in a whole game. Like, he looked great in this game. He looked great blocking. His effort blocking was incredible. His ability to get down the field and on some of those outside zones, going to the right, you see him just a bullet 40 yards down the field, making plays. That was encouraging to me. I mean, that's exactly what we saw on his college tape. And that was the one thing that I liked the most about him, is that he felt ready-made to be dropped into the outside zone scheme and to be able to go out there and maul. He's out there mauling. He looks nasty. He held his own. I thought they had an amazing plan for these tackles too. They didn't put too much on them. I think there was, like, on Penning's side at least, just straight dropbacks with no help. There was like maybe 5 times where he actually had the block just on his own. Yeah. Other times he had help, or it's play action, or it's just a quick drop ball out, and they weren't asking him to kind of stand back there on an island. They kind of know, and the one thing I like about this offensive staff the most is I think they know their weaknesses and they coach away from them. And it just goes back to the common sense factor. Hey, we're not good at this, so let's limit the exposure to it. And it just felt like, as you're watching it, it was just like, they really thought about it. Instead of before, it was kind of like, well, we got to go out there and try to do this. And it's just like, well, if this doesn't work, we're not going to do it. And, I think that was one of the things with Penning, and they put him in great positions to succeed. So both those guys, I thought they did a good job of placing them where they could have success, and you didn't see a whole lot of opportunity for failure. And I mean, that's just good coaching to me.
Yeah, the coolest thing about watching both Penning and Fuaga was, we spent so much time worrying about when there would be negatives, but like when this team was eating the way it was and they were getting to the second level of the defense. I mean, especially Penning. Yeah, Penning matched up against a DB. That's what he's been waiting 3 years to do. But yeah, Fuaga in open space and Penning in open space turned into assets. It's kind of like what we said about Kamara. It's like, get Kamara into the second level of the defense. Well, get these offensive tackles into the second level of the defense, and they're really special. Eric McCoy into the second level of the defense. Edwin had some great photos. They're both on the website. One of them is Trevor Penning 20 yards down the field in front of Alvin Kamara. One of them is Eric McCoy 20 yards down the field in front of Alvin Kamara. So it's really cool to see them in space. But there is nobody I am reserving judgment more on than the 2 tackles. And the good thing is we are 5 days away from really getting I mean, look, and if they get obliterated, I'm going to reserve judgment then too, because this is going to be one of the best defensive fronts they're going to face all season. But if they do well against this Cowboys defensive front, then you got to believe it. You got to believe it. I mean, welcome to the stiffest test you can imagine in week 2.
Them boys going from the syllabus test to the ACT in 1 week, and it's.
Yeah, no, finish up.
No, were you going to say from Nicholls State to like Auburn or some real program?
No, I was just going to say I think that's a fair point by you, though, is that I think that they've allowed for at least a little bit of benefit of doubt over a period of time at this point. It was kind of, it felt disastrous, and it felt like there was no way for success. They both succeeded beyond anything we thought was possible. If they have a bad game this week, I'm not throwing them in the trash immediately. Yeah. I mean, I guess we'll have to see what it would look like, but we see now that there's a way to be okay, and maybe against the best pass rusher in the NFL, maybe that isn't the game where you use that to draw your conclusion. So I think they've at least earned themselves a little bit of just, all right, let's give them a little bit of time and see what it is after a ample viewing period.
Yeah, and I called up with Tally after the game, and he was saying, well, I think I did pretty good, but I have to go back and watch it. But then he was talking about how you mentioned him, Eric McCoy, and the veterans just on the line as a whole were helping him snap to snap, just kind of stay in his zone and be able to do his thing. I mean, his physical ability is there. There's no question about that. We saw that on the college tape. But just getting those live reps and having to really go out there and play people like Jadeveon Clowney. We talked earlier in the week, and he was like, I watched Jadeveon Clowney play in college. I watched him play, throughout the NFL, and now I have to go up against him. And, it was something that for him, it was really like a cool thing to see him progress from, all right, I have to prepare to do this, to now I've done it, and just sit back and be like, man, I really did that. Let's go to our next segment presented by Shawbear Insurance, the Earhart Agency. The big thing of this offseason was moving training camp to California. Do you think the move to California contributed to this big win?
I mean, it's hard to say no. Look, I was going to mention this in the first answer. Kevin made a really good point on our members-only podcast. I was kind of not one of those people that blamed everything on coaching the last couple of years, like when Alvin Kamara and Deontay Hardy were fumbling and when they were sloppy with penalties and everything and they were undisciplined. But if you are a person that blamed that all on coaching before, you have to credit that all to coaching. They were the more prepared team. They were the cleaner team. And I don't know if that's because they went to California, but I know the work they got in California was so crisp, so intense. It was, like we said, it felt like they got twice as many snaps in, rapid pace, intentional, with purpose. The new offensive staff is a really aggressive staff, the way they coached and moving from drill to drill, demanded perfection. Obviously, we heard Dennis Allen in press conferences holding guys to higher standards and more accountable. I don't know if that couldn't have happened in New Orleans, but without question, the tone of training camp carried over into week 1 of this season.
I would agree. I don't know if it's because of California, but I think it's because of – and again, we're talking about one game here, and it might not affect game 2, but I think the level of preparedness was because of Dennis Allen. I think he ran a good camp. I think he had a good plan. I think he knew exactly what he needed to get done. I think he changed up the pace. Could they have ran that pace in Metairie? I don't know. Like, maybe not. Maybe not. But the attention to detail, the intensity, all that stuff, like, it was ramped up. And they were, like you said, everything you just said, I don't need to repeat it. Like, all that stuff was evident, and that was because of him. I think the other thing that helps too is that you have an offensive staff that's pushing to the same standards that you have on defense now. And ultimately, yes, it goes back to the guy running the whole ship. If it's not happening, it's on him. He has to find a way to get it done. But I think it's a lot easier to get that done when you have people that are built for those leadership roles as opposed to somebody that's trying to find a way to fill one. Like, having somebody that's tailor-made to do that helps. Like, they can adhere to those standards when you're on the other side of the field coaching the defense. You don't have to micromanage in that. Like Kubiak is built to be that guy. Andrew Janoko is built to be that guy. The offensive line coaches, they're all, like, everybody is adhering to one standard now, and I think that makes it a lot easier. But, you know, again, it goes back. Like, they got the right people in place now, and I just think DA had a good vision and a good plan for how to enter this season. We'll see if that leads to actual results. This could just be an aberration. You know, you never know. So we're gonna wait and see. But I don't know how you could sit here today and not be more encouraged about the prospects of the season than you were a week ago. Like, it's just impossible not to be.
Our next segment is presented by Urban South. We saw a lot that we didn't see last year from this offense. I mean, it's just motion, play action, just a whole bunch of different things that we saw. But what more do you want to see from the Clint Kubiak offense?
Continuation. Just continuation. Like, for me, it's just show us more, continue to do it. Don't let it just be a one-week thing. Build your game the way it is. Keep that pressure off the tackles. I guess you could say you want to see Chris Olave involved a little bit more, but, I mean, who cares if you're scoring that many points? I don't care who's catching the passes and all that stuff. I don't really have a whole lot of complaint. I just want to see them do this, be able to do it on a week-to-week thing and prove that, you know, it wasn't just a one-game blitz because nobody knew what to expect from you. I don't think that's really actually possible because you watched San Francisco last night and it looks like the same offense. You look like Houston, it looks like the same exact offense. You know, people know the scheme. They called the right plays. They did it at the right time. Just stay that sharp. And, you know, I want to see Carr stay sharp within it. I mean, those are just really the only things. Just keep showing me. That's really all I want to see from it.
Yeah, Olave is really interesting because you know, obviously that's probably more of even a fantasy question, but that's a fair fan question is why didn't you get him more involved? Well, they didn't have to.
Well,
5 different guys scored touchdowns, so you don't need to force it when that's happening. But, yeah, I mean, that's the perfect thing. If you can establish Chris Olave as a guy who is that important to this offense, that'll open things up for other people. But, you know, I'm not worried at all about Chris Olave because we watched him all camp. And I think he's a guy who is, you know, I predicted he was going to have 5 catches before halftime in this game. If a defense wants to show him that much respect, great. It's so much better for everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, all you got, like, if you go back and watch it, it's evident why he wasn't getting the ball. You know, there's 2 guys on him. There's just other people more open. It's just they didn't have to. Like, and that's fine. Like, he was engaged the whole game. He's run blocking. He's screen blocking. He's digging safeties out. He's doing what he had to do. He was engaged the whole game. I don't think – you know, obviously I don't think that's something that you want to have happen every single week. If you get to, week 2, week 3, and it's silent, I think, that's where frustrations could possibly start to boil, and you don't want to see that happen. But I don't think that you try to force the ball to him in this game. Like they were, they wanted to take him away. Okay, take him away. Like everybody else is going to eat them. They still scored 47 points. I mean, that was fine.
The other answer to that question is you want to see the Adam Prentice version of the Kyle Juszczyk play that you saw last night.
Everybody said Taysom right away. Look, no. Like I want the total element of surprise here. Like you could get that even more open on it. It's just fun watching some of these other teams because like I was watching Houston earlier, and you just see things. It's like, wow, they could do that, and all of it fits because they're already doing it. Like it isn't how do you make this fit? You can just kind of go around like that's a benefit to running, a popular system. Like you could kind of just take stuff like real easily and put it into your offense.
Is there a Mason Tipton play maybe?
I like some of, like I was saying before, I like some of the stuff KC was doing with Worthy. I try to incorporate some of that. Yeah. Total Maintenance is one of the largest locally owned home and commercial service providers in South Louisiana. They were founded in 1980 and serve the greater New Orleans and Baton Rouge markets. And Total Maintenance wants to show some love to our NOF listeners. They have a membership program that gets you 2 tune-up visits for AC and heating, as well as club membership discounts of 15% on all repairs, half off of all diagnostic charges, and 3-year warranties on most repairs for membership clients. This is usually priced at the low price of $24.95 a month per system, but if you tell Total Maintenance that you found them through NOF, they'll lower the price to $20.95 per month per system for as long as you keep the membership active. It will never increase. Total Maintenance has a tune-up special running this summer for $79, down from the normal price of $179. This is a one-time offer for one system only. They also offer a free diagnostic on second opinions on units deemed to be unrepairable, and they offer free estimates for replacements as well as commercial maintenance programs. Services include AC and heating service and replacement, electrical service, plumbing service, as well as generator service and installation. They are Total Maintenance. Find them at tm-ac.com or give them a call at 504-841-3300, or if you're in the Baton Rouge area, 225-480-1000. Martin Wine and Spirits is home to a selection of hand-picked barrel select bourbon, whiskeys, and much, much more. They are family owned and operated since 1946 and specialize in wine, spirits, gourmet food, gift baskets, catering, and tasting events. They have many locations, so they're never too far away. You can check them out in Metairie, New Orleans, Mandeville, and Baton Rouge, or if it's more convenient, you can always shop online. Whether you're a wine novice or a seasoned collector, you'll enjoy the Martin Wine and Spirit experience.
Score big with kickoff combos at New Orleans Hamburger and Seafood Company. Comes with fried shrimp and your choice of soft-shell crab traditional or our famous thin-fried catfish, all served with garlic herb fries, starting at only $10.99. Only at New Orleans Hamburger and Seafood Company.
There's nothing quite like the feeling of stepping into your dream home. At Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union, we can help make that dream a reality with a team dedicated to you. When you partner with Jefferson Financial, you do so for the life of the loan. Having a single point of contact when questions arise is invaluable. Our experts are here to guide you every step of the way. There's no better time to invest in your future. Apply online at jeffersonfinancial.org. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing lender.
Whether you are a local New Orleanian or a fan in town for the game, get your pre- and post-game fired up at Aaron Rose. Local chaos and local love for the black and gold. Wake up and live with daily drink specials, mimosas, screwdrivers, Bloody Marys, and hot or frozen Irish coffees, all just $3 or $4 between 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Aaron Rose, half a block from Bourbon Street in the French Quarter, 811 Conti Street.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Savor game day platters and snacks, plus drink specials at 1717 Kitchen and Cocktails. Wall-to-wall, state-of-the-art TVs mean you'll see every touchdown, Hail Mary, and big turnover in crystal clear HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. So come out for game day and let our team make you the MVP. The Queen Casino in Baton Rouge, where every moment is a win.
If you guys are wondering, hey man, where are these guys at? We're up here at the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. This is the Ochsner Andrews Sports Medicine Institute podcast studio. It's not just in Metairie. It gets around. We're all over the place wherever we need to be. But let's go into our next segment presented by New Orleans Hamburger and Seafood Company. Is this the perfect offensive system to complement Derek Carr's strengths?
Well, look, rewind it to the first segment of the show when Nick talked about him going through the progressions and having less to think about. I think reluctantly Carr would have to admit that. I mean, he loved the idea. He said he played his best football under Gruden, and one of the things that attracted him to come play for Pete Carmichael is he wanted to make all those decisions at the line and make all those reads, and he likes being a guy who can do that. But, man, this game tape was sure an example of, hey, let's take some of that off your plate and let you just throw. He couldn't have played a better game, and he couldn't have looked more comfortable. Now, a lot of that is because first play of the game is a 9-yard run. Every quarterback looks good when it's 2nd and 1. And, his touchdown pass to Rashid Shaheed came because it was 3rd and 4 and not 3rd and 14. So it all boils down to, put him in successful positions even more than just the play calls. But I think all of that, I mean, how can you argue against that?
Yeah. I thought he was awesome. I thought he was awesome in this game, honestly. If you really wanted to nitpick, like, there's a couple where you're like, oh, like, little behind, little back shoulder. But, I mean, like, my God, like, that's not the game to do it in. He looked awesome. I thought he was in total command. I thought the ball was coming out. Like, I was surprised, went through, timed everything. Like, it was still, like, 2.7 seconds. I was a little bit surprised by that. I was expecting a little faster. But all the plays where he's holding the ball for 3 seconds plus, great plays. Every play in this game was a great play. Though he had 3 misses, and I don't think you're mad at any of the 3. Good decisions on them. The only one was maybe the third one. I thought that was one where Chris was way more open than Shaheed on his last incompletion, and he went deeper to Shaheed, and he could have went underneath to Chris. Had a huge gain. He had 15 yards of space in front of him. That's really the only one you can nitpick. But
I mean, in hindsight, you could say that throwing the low percentage ball to Taysom in the end zone. I mean, he got the single coverage he wanted.
He put the ball in his hands.
Yeah,
he put the ball on it. Yeah, I mean, and look, that was first read, single coverage, ball go. Like, I don't think you sit in that meeting room and say that's a bad. That was an excellent. Like, he saw it fast and got the ball out. I mean, yeah, Jawan's open over here, but you're going pure progression. That would have been the third one on it, and maybe he gets covered by them. But you aren't seeing that. You're just seeing, oh, I got one-on-one. I'm giving my guy a chance, and you go to it. If they don't think Taysom can make that play, I think that's more on the coaching to, like, not have him there as the first read on the play than Derek to say, well, this guy isn't going to be able to catch a fade, so I'm not throwing it. Yeah. So that's not on him. But, yeah, I mean, look, I talked to Derek about some of the stuff before the season about how just a simplified offense marries with some of the stuff he does. And I talked to Kubiak about it too. And, like, they still both want him using his mind and processing. It isn't like he's out there just doing nothing. He has more responsibility than Jake Haener would if he went to the game. Like, they've installed some different things. They've allowed, hey, if you see a certain type of coverage and we have this progression, and, like, you can change it to something else to where, okay, if the safety's here, you're going 1-2 to the right, 1-2 to the left, or something like that, instead of going 1-2-3-4 across the field. So he has the ability to change some of that stuff still, and I think you want him to do that. But I think marrying the two together, there's just less responsibility. There's less stuff you have to do, and I think you can just go out there and play. And for a week, I don't think you can. We have one game.
Yeah,
one game though. That one game was one of the best games I've ever seen from him. So I think it looks like it's gonna fit, but we'll see.
Well, look, the 59-yard touchdown pass to Shaheed was a choice. I mean, Chris Olave was the first read in that progression, and it was 3rd and 4, and he could have thrown a 5-yard pass to Chris Olave on that play. I mean, there was a guy behind him, but he could have fired in a 5-yard pass to Chris Olave, but he read what the safeties did when Shaheed shifted, and he knew he wanted to take the shot on that play. And Carr's an aggressive guy. I mean, that is been a not so hidden secret about Derek Carr is he wants to take that shot, and he can hit those shots. So he made a choice on that play. He didn't just take the first read in the progression. I mean, he knew there was going to be an opportunity to set the dome off, and he took it.
Yeah, he definitely did. There's no better way to start off the season than that hell of a start to the season. But now it's time for the Martin Wine and Spirits question of the day. Martin's is home to a wide selection of hand-picked barrels like bourbon, whiskeys, and more. Martin's, so much more than just wine. Today's question is, on the defense, how did Cam Jordan look in his modified role?
I think he had 11 snaps at edge. I'm going off the top of my head here, and I could be misstating these, but if I am, they're close. I think it was 11 snaps off the edge, 3 on the inside. I thought it was pretty quiet from both spots, honestly. I don't think it was a very active game. I didn't see a lot. It just didn't register really that way. Some other guys were making more plays than him for sure. It was just one of them games. It's just not a whole lot there to kind of evaluate.
Yeah. Chase Young was probably the one defensive lineman that stood out, causing pressures.
He had 7. Granderson has 6.
Granderson had 6. Okay.
Nate Shepard had an outstanding game.
Okay, that's good to know.
He should have finished a sack maybe, but he had an outstanding game. He flashed a lot.
Yeah, that's one of those where, I mean, the detailed film study helps because you watch Bryce Young running around and throwing horrible passes. You see them averaging 2.9 yards per carry. You'd expect that the entire defensive line played well. But, I didn't see a lot from Cam. I didn't see a lot from Peyton Turner, which was another thing we'd like to see more. We certainly didn't see Isaiah Foskey come in and pile on at the end. So that's probably one area of the game where we want to see more from going forward for sure.
No doubt about it.
Yeah. That'll do it for this episode of NewOrleans.Football. For those who aren't subscribe because this is one of those ad-free versions of the show. There's no big ad break if you're already subscribed. But if you're not and you like the ads, stick around because we have great sponsors. So don't hesitate to stick around and check those guys out. Overtime is next. Catch you next time.